My email account is full of brands asking if I would like to take a look at their watches. Most of the time I say no. Sometimes I say yes to borrowing it briefly, but I don't guarantee that I'll talk about it, and rarely if ever have I felt the need to talk about a watch on the release day. A watch has to feel pretty special for me to dedicate time to a day one release video. Now the Formex Aria integrated bracelet, original design with unique custom movement. Come on, I had to, for 3 very key reasons. So let's take a look at this watch. This is an integrated ultra slim case design with an ultra refined look to it, but with the Formex signature flair. The 40mm case houses a gray, blue or green dial with elongated lume plots that aren't applied but are inset into the dial. The dial itself is lacquered, and at every hour marker there's a little ridge leading the eye from the plots to the dial center. There's also a slight concave curvature to the dial that also helps to draw your eye to the center of the dial. The sub-seconds dial has a ridged radial pattern at the 6 o'clock position. The hands and plots have a brushed bronzed color to them with mirror polished bevels on the hour and minute hands. There's a small indentation where the Formex logo is affixed. The 40mm case is only 6.9mm in height and has a lug-to-lug of 45.5mm. The bezel is extremely thin with a vertically brushed top surface and a high polish to the flanks. The case itself is almost invisible with no crown guard and almost no protrusion outside of the bezel, and the case is just flat. The flanks are straight until they reach the lugs, where there's a small but abrupt angle downwards. The vertical brushing on the bezel top is mirrored on the case. The bracelet is a single link bracelet with a small step down on the bottom side of each link where it connects to the next link. In terms of link sizes, I would call it almost half links. They are narrow, which have the benefit of allowing for a curvature that follows the shape of the wrist. The bracelet is a butterfly clasp with a micro adjustment mechanism, and it's aesthetically the best one I've ever experienced. Almost all micro adjusts on these kind of bracelets leave an unsightly gap. This one does have a gap, but because of the link design, you don't notice it. It retains the seamless nature of the bracelet. The case and bracelet are titanium, grade 5 for those of you that feel it's important, and it weighs only 78 grams. 30 meters of water resistance isn't much, but this is an ultra slim integrated bracelet watch. No one is expecting this watch to go diving. Inside is a movement developed by a company named Horage that are neighbors in build to Formex. It's 2.9mm thick, it's got a micro rotor, 3.5 Hertz, 72 hours of power reserve, chronometer accuracy, and it's simply beautiful. The price is $7,900 and it's limited to 100 pieces. There are 3 reasons why I felt this watch warranted a video of its own, and me liking Formex and this watch are not one of those reasons. But before we get to those reasons, my subscribers have to put up with me asking you, not yet subscribers, to subscribe. You guys are like that person in the group at the restaurant that hasn't made up their mind yet. The rest of us have ordered steak, 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 burger, steak, and burger. Don't pretend you're getting the fish. You know you're not going to try something different. You know you're getting the steak. Just get the steak. Everybody's waiting for you. Subscribe now. Thanks a ton. Reason number 1. I've basically come to the conclusion that there are 3 kinds of integrated bracelet watches. There's the icon. These are the watches that have been around for decades and have a look which is instantly recognizable simply because they were among the first. Each one has its unique aesthetic, but given the time period most of them originated in, they are understated, refined, and lean into some mix of regular sports watch and dress watch in terms of look and feel. It's the Nautilus, it's the Royal Oak, it's the Overseas. You know these watches. Then there are the Ultra Simples. This can apply to icons as well, but these watches are a massive exercise in restraint. If it wasn't for the steel bracelet, they could easily be dress watches. The cases are thin, the bezels are toned down, and dials are typically quite simply designed. It's the Parmigiani Tonda, it's the Christopher Ward Slim, and it's the Chapek Antarctique. Lastly, there are the more aggressive integrateds. Watches that have a more prominent and manly aesthetic to them. They achieve that through size, like the Royal Oak Offshore, through angularity, like the Alpina Extreme, and through sheer over-the-topness, like a lot of Hublot watches. Bell and Ross too. The problem is, that last aggressive category almost always goes too far. They like tattoos. They're fine and are masculine, but the moment you tattoo your girlfriend's name on your forehead, it just becomes a little bit too much. There just aren't a lot of masculine integrateds that aren't completely roided out. But this one isn't. It has that DNA, which is down to the large dial, the ridges on the dial, the plots, which have that sci-fi edge to them, and the hands as well. It's just got some of that edge that a Streamliner or a Nautilus or an Overseas don't. More aggressive styling without going over the top is just worth calling out. Reason number 2. The people behind Formex make some of the best watch components out there. The list of high-end brands that get their cases and bracelets from Formex's sister brands is very long. What you're getting in this watch is, for the price, astounding. It's not cheap, but let's just take a simple comparison. IWC Ingenieur Grade 5 Titanium, $16,000. That's double the price. The Aria is Grade 5, has a fully custom 80-hour micro rotor movement with chronometer accuracy. It's also a visible and much more attractive movement to look at. The watch is thinner, it's got a better easy adjust. Everything on this watch is superior to the Ingenieur. The ground scrounger is $16,000 in steel. Zenith have a watch for $12,000 in steel. Now don't get me wrong, you can get some really good integrated watches for $1,000, $3,000 and $5,000, but this particular model doesn't hold back on any one component. You can find a $5,000 integrated watch that has an in-house movement, but it's going to be a grade 2 case and only a grade 5 bezel, and it won't be a slim micro rotor movement, and it won't have this level of dial complexity. The $3,000 version will have a Celita movement inside, and at best it will be grade 2 through and through. Not that that functionally makes a huge difference, but it does impact the hue of the case and the bracelet. The dial on the $3,000 version is going to be nowhere near the Aria. As far as I'm concerned, this is now my benchmark for what can be done when cutting no corners on an integrated bracelet watch. Reason number 3, Formex are really good at the engineering side of things. I've said that a million times, but sometimes their design language lags. The Stratos, which is their UTC, is just too much. And yes, looks are subjective to some extent, but honestly, there's just too much going on. The 2 little circular pushes on their usual deploying clasps also have never really sat with me. There's often just an imbalance between their clear technical ability and their aesthetic sensibilities, but not here. This is balanced, it's refined, but it's still 100% on brand for Formex. So who's it for? They are only making 100 of these, so it is very much for the fast-moving Formex fan. I don't expect them to be in stock for long despite the $8,000 price tag. And I'll get back to that in a sec. But it is for that person that wants a no corners cut all-in Formex integrated watch that punches above its weight. It's a talking piece and it's a collector's piece. Other thoughts. $8,000 is a lot of moolah for a Formex. Their usual price point is way below this point, and I do expect some people to feel it's too big of a jump. And I understand that. But the fact is that this initially is a 100-piece limited edition affair, which makes it less of a problem for me. If it were a permanent fixture in their lineup, it would feel out of place, and even as kind of a betrayal of the price point and value positioning that Formex have had so far. But I would put my money on them making a more affordable version of this watch down the road. If this watch does well, which I think it will, then maybe in a year's time they will make a steel version with a slim Celita movement inside and not a quite as complex style. Depending on the material choices, choice of movement, and whether they stick to the slim form factor, you could probably put together a model that goes for somewhere between $1,800 US and $3,000 US. The movement inside, which has its own Formex classification, is developed in collaboration with a company called Horage. Horage have the K2 movement that has been around for about 6 years, and in most ways it's the same movement, but Horage and Formex got together and made some improvements. And this is a little bit of a detail that's absolutely fascinating to me. What they did was replace the regular gear train pinion with a flexible gear train pinion that they developed specifically for the Formex movement. Now, what does a flexible gear train pinion do, you might ask? It makes sure that there's no backplay on the movement of the hands. Is that a teeny tiny pointless detail that most people would never notice? Absolutely. But this is like soft close on a car door. It's like the treatment of car glass to improve the acoustic isolation of the cabin of a car. It's a micro detail that is attention to detail. This is the kind of thing you're paying for, and it's the kind of thing you won't find in a bog standard entry movement from Panerai, IWC, or Hublot. Apart from that, This is just the kind of watch that gets me excited and why I like the value price point that brands like Formex usually inhabit. For me, the ultra entry end of $200, $300, $500 to $1,000 watches doesn't push the limits of what you can pack into a watch. For that price point, it's about refining already existing technologies to get a good value deal. But at that $1,000 to $5,000 space, you have brands that are trying to push the envelope in terms of what they can offer. In-house, or at least heavily custom movements, bracelet innovations, dial innovations, they push the limit, and I don't doubt that it puts pressure on brands like IWC, Omega, and others to not get complacent. Like I said, this watch from a feature set delivers everything a $16,000 IWC also offers. There's no place where you can say, yeah, but it's a stock Sellita. Everything is pushing the envelope, and honestly, it exposes how wild the price discrepancies can be. And honestly, if Formex committed to making this a part of their regular lineup, they could probably lower the price a little bit simply because they'd be spreading the development costs out over bigger volumes. The limitation, I think, is probably the movements. For Raj, Formex, they are probably not capable of pumping out the high volumes of that specific movement, micro rotor and all. But if they had the capacity, bigger volumes could probably make this watch cheaper. As it stands, this is a fabulous release for Formex. It's a fabulous example of packing the most you can into one single watch. And it's a fabulous example of how much price discrepancy there can be for this kind of technology, this kind of watch, this kind of engineering. So I'm a big fan. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe. Cheers.